Welcome back to Tile the World, your go-to for, well, for all things tile.
All things tile.
Today we're going deep, deep into a topic that it's often overlooked,
Yes.
but it can seriously make or break your tile designs.
Absolutely.
Grout color.
It's our grout color.
You've agonized, listeners. You've agonized over picking the perfect tile, but now what?
Right.
The sheer number of grout color choices can feel overwhelming.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, though. We've got you covered.
Yes.
We're going to unpack the key strategies, the subtle nuances of choosing the right grout color.
Or right grout color.
For your project.
That's what we're here for. We're talking about those seemingly small decisions.
Right.
That can have a huge impact on the overall look and feel of your tiled space.
Okay. So let's imagine you're designing a kitchen backsplash.
Yeah.
You found these gorgeous, handcrafted ceramic tiles with intricate patterns.
Beautiful.
Very on trend, by the way.
Very on trend. Love it.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to grout, you have two main paths.
Okay.
Matching.
Yes.
Or contrasting.
At matching or contrasting. Those are the two.
I used to think contrasting grout was the only way to make a statement.
Right.
You know, like that classic white subway tile with dark gray grout, that look.
Classic look.
But I've learned there's a whole world of subtlety in matching grout, too.
Absolutely. And let's be honest, that high contrast look can be a bit dramatic for some spaces.
True.
It's not always about creating a bold statement.
Right.
Sometimes you want the grout to recede into the background and let the beauty of the tile shine through. That's where matching grout comes in.
Like, say you're going for a more spa-like bathroom vibe.
Okay, yeah.
With those gorgeous large format porcelain tiles. A matching grout creates that seamless, serene look.
Right. Very serene.
But there's a trick to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's not just about picking the exact same color as the tile.
You're spot on. One of the most common mistakes people make is matching the grout too closely to the tile color. Grout tends to dry a bit darker than it appears in the sample.
Oh, wow.
So you could end up with a final look that feels stark and almost jarring.
So the secret is to go a shade lighter when matching.
Precisely. Think of it like choosing a slightly muted echo of the tile color.
Okay.
This creates a gentle harmony without losing the definition between the tiles.
Right.
And remember, grout will inevitably darken over time.
Oh, it always does.
As it absorbs, dirt and grime.
Makes sense, yeah.
Living life.
That makes so much sense. So even with a matching grout, you're playing with those subtle tonal variations to create depth and dimension.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where the grout complements the tile without competing for attention.
Now let's swing back to contrasting grout.
Okay.
It's not always about that stark black and white contrast, is it?
No. Yeah.
There are ways to use contrast more subtly, right?
Absolutely. Think about using a grout color.
Yeah.
That's a few shades darker or lighter than the tile. Or even playing with complementary colors.
Oh, interesting.
For example, a warm gray grout can create a beautiful contrast with cool toned blue tiles.
Oh, that's interesting. So even with contrasting grout, you're still thinking about the color temperature.
You are.
And how it interacts with the tile.
Yes, you are. You're thinking about it all.
It's like
a whole other level of color theory.
It is.
And that's where things get really fun. Because once you start understanding these principles, you can start experimenting with more unconventional grout choices.
Okay.
Let's talk about colored grouts.
Ooh, yes.
For a minute.
Colored grouts.
Colored grouts.
Now, I know this isn't for everyone.
No.
But when done right, it can add such a unique and unexpected touch.
It can.
To a space.
It can. It can.
You're right. It's not for the faint of heart.
Not for the faint of heart, no.
But if you're looking to make a bold statement.
Right.
Or add a touch of whimsy.
Yes.
Colored grout can be a fantastic tool.
It can.
Okay, so let's say I'm feeling adventurous and I want to explore colored grout.
Okay.
Where do I even begin?
Well, first, consider the overall style and mood you want to create.
Okay.
Are you going for a playful, eclectic vibe or a more sophisticated and elegant look?
Good question.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm working on a bathroom with white subway tile.
All right.
It's a classic look.
It is.
But I want to give it a little personality.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
White subway tile is a great canvas for experimenting with colored grout.
Yeah?
Now, one common misconception is that you need to choose a bright, bold color to make a statement.
Oh.
But sometimes a more subtle approach
Right.
can be even more impactful.
So instead of going for a bright blue
Right.
or green, maybe consider a softer shade, like a dusty rose or a muted sage.
Exactly. Those muted tones can add a touch of color without overwhelming the space.
Okay.
Plus, they tend to work well with a wider range of tile colors.
Now, what about those bolder colors? When does it make sense to go all out with a bright colored grout?
If you're working with a neutral tile, like a white or a gray, a bold colored grout can create a really striking focal point.
Right.
Think about a vibrant turquoise grout with a simple white subway tile backsplash.
Yeah.
It adds a pop of personality without feeling too overwhelming.
Oh, I love that. It's like adding a little bit of jewelry to your tile design.
It is.
But I've heard you should be careful about matching colored grout too closely to the tile itself, right?
That's a great point. If you have a bright blue tile, for example,
right,
using a bright blue grout can actually wash out the color of the tile and make it look less vibrant.
So what's the trick? What kind of grout color would you recommend for a bright colored tile?
Here's where those warm neutrals come into play.
Okay.
A warm gray or beige grout can create a subtle contrast that lets the vibrancy of the tile shine through.
Right.
It's all about finding that balance between complementing and competing.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So we've covered matching, contrasting.
Yes.
And even touched on the world of colored grouts.
We have.
But how do we bring all this together in a real-world design scenario?
That's a great question. Let's walk through a specific example to see how these principles play out in practice.
Okay.
Imagine you're designing a bathroom with a walk-in shower.
Okay.
You've chosen a beautiful mosaic tile for the shower floor, and you want to carry that tile up onto one of the shower walls as an accent.
Ooh, I love that idea. It's a great way to add visual interest and create a sense of continuity in the space.
Yeah.
But now we're faced with the grout decision, right? Do we match the grout to the mosaic tile?
Yeah.
Or do we contrast it with the surrounding tile on the other shower walls?
That's the dilemma, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's no one-size-fits-all answer.
Right.
It depends on the specific colors and patterns of the tiles involved, as well as the overall style you're aiming for.
Right.
Let's say the mosaic tile has a mix of blues and greens.
Okay.
And the surrounding tile is a simple white subway tile.
Okay.
We could go a few different directions with the grout.
Okay. Walk me through the options.
One option would be to use a light gray grout.
Okay.
For both the mosaic and the subway tile.
Okay.
This would create a subtle contrast with the white subway tile while still allowing the colors of the mosaic to pop.
Yeah.
Another option would be to use a darker gray grout for the subway tile.
Okay.
And a lighter gray or even a white grout for the mosaic. This would create a more defined separation between the two tile types.
So with the first option, you're creating a sense of unity and flow.
Yes.
While the second option is more about highlighting the individual element.
Exactly. And then there's the bold option, using a colored grout that picks up one of the colors in the mosaic.
Oh. Right.
This could be a really fun way to tie the whole design together and make a statement.
Wow. So many possibilities.
Yeah.
It's really making me think about grout in a whole new way. It's not just about filling the gaps. It's about making deliberate design choices that can really elevate the entire space.
I'm so glad you're seeing those connections. And remember, there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
It's all about making informed choices that align with your design vision.
Okay, so let's say we've considered all these factors: the tile color, the size and shape, the overall style, and we've narrowed down our grout choices.
Yes.
Are there any other tips or tricks we should keep in mind as we make our final decision?
One thing I always recommend is to order a few grout samples.
Oh, okay.
And actually test them out with your tile.
Oh, okay.
You can apply a small amount of grout to a spare tile or a piece of cardboard and let it dry completely.
Okay.
This will give you a much better sense of the true color and texture of the grout as it can look different once it's cured.
That's a great tip. I've definitely been surprised by how much grout color can change as it dries. It's kind of like painting a wall. You really need to see the color in the in the actual space to get a true sense of how it will look.
Exactly. And while you're testing out those samples,
Yeah.
pay attention to the lighting in the room.
Oh, right.
Natural light can make a grout appear lighter,
Okay.
while artificial light can sometimes bring out different undertones. It's worth viewing the samples under different lighting conditions throughout the day to see how the colors shift.
This is all such valuable advice. I feel like I'm finally equipped to tackle those grout decisions with confidence.
I'm glad to hear that. Remember choosing the right grout color is an investment in the longevity and beauty of your tiled space.
Right.
It's worth taking the time to explore your options.
Yeah.
And make a choice that you'll love for years to come.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you, our amazing expert.
Thank you.
For sharing your grout wisdom with us today.
Thank you.
You've given us so much to think about.
Good.
And have inspired us to approach grout color with a whole new level of intentionality.
I'm glad. It's been my pleasure. I'm always passionate about helping people understand the power of design, even down to the smallest details.
Right.
And I truly believe that grout color is one of those details that can make all the difference.
And a huge thank you to you, our listener,
yes,
for joining us on this grout color journey.
That's right.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and inspiration for your own tile projects.
That's right.
Remember, grout isn't just a filler. It's a design element that can enhance, elevate, and personalize your space.
Absolutely.
You know, it really is. It's like that final piece
of the
puzzle that brings the whole design together.
It is. It's like the conductor of an orchestra, harmonizing all the elements and creating a cohesive symphony of style.
I love that analogy. It really captures the essence of what we've been talking about today. Grout isn't just a functional necessity.
Right.
It's an integral part of the design process.
It is.
And just like with any design element,
yes,
there are endless possibilities for creativity and expression.
Endless.
Speaking of confidence, I have one final question for you. What advice would you give to someone who's feeling completely overwhelmed by all the grout options out there?
Yeah.
What's the best way to approach that decision-making process?
That's a great question, and it's a feeling I think a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah.
When faced with a wall of grout samples,
right.
It's easy to get lost in the sea of colors and textures.
It's true.
My advice would be to start by simplifying.
Simplify? How do you mean?
Well, instead of trying to consider every possible grout color under the sun, begin by narrowing down your choices based on the factors we've discussed today.
Okay.
Think about the color and style of your tile, the size and shape of the tiles, and the overall mood you're trying to create in the space.
So it's kind of like a process of elimination.
Exactly. Start by ruling out the colors that definitely won't work.
Okay.
And then focus on the options that seem most promising. From there, you can use those grout visualizer tools we talked about.
Yeah.
Order some samples and really start to experiment.
And don't be afraid to trust your gut. Right.
Yes.
Sometimes you just have a feeling about a certain color.
Right.
And it's worth exploring that intuition. Absolutely.
Design is a very personal thing.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you want to choose a grout color that you'll love living with. Yeah. So if you see a color that speaks to you, don't be afraid to give it a try.
This has been such an insightful conversation.
Good.
I feel like I've gained a whole new appreciation for the art of grout color selection.
Yeah.
It's truly amazing how such a seemingly small detail can have such a big impact on the overall design of a space.
I completely agree. It's those small details that often make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
And when it comes to grout, those details can truly transform a space from ordinary to extraordinary.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you again.
Thank you
for sharing your expertise with us today.
You're welcome.
And to you, our listener, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
On this grout color deep dive.
That's right.
We hope you've learned some valuable tips and feel inspired to approach your next tile project with a newfound appreciation for the power of grout.
That's right.
Remember, grout isn't just a filler.
No.
It's an opportunity to create a space that reflects your unique style and vision.
It is.
For all your grout needs, shop tilebar.com. Stay up to date on tile technical issues with Craig at the Tile Nerd Army on Instagram.